Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving straight into Peerless Tang Sect episode 118, and trust me, this one is packed with intensity. The battlefield explodes with the reveal of the legendary 10th level soul guide, the Light of Death, a weapon so terrifying it wipes out hundreds of soul saints in a single strike. Huo Yuhao is thrown into despair, the balance of the war shifts, and just when things couldn't get any heavier, Tang Wutong finally makes her shocking debut in Soul Land 2. So grab your snacks, because we're breaking down every twist, every battle, and every emotional moment in detail. Earlier, while scouting the battlefield, Yuhao had already sensed something off. He discovered a conspiracy brewing within the Sun Moon Empire and immediately had Dai Luoli deliver the message to Duke Baihu. But as he hovered above the battlefield, watching the armies clash below, a wave of unease washed over him. It was like a crushing premonition that something beyond his understanding was about to erupt. Down on the ground, things seemed to favor the Xingluo Empire. Their Soul Master troops were advancing steadily, while the Sun Moon Empire's defensive firepower was mysteriously weakening. Xingluo's high-level Soul Masters glowed as their rings lit up, ready to unleash devastating long-range attacks. The night sky shimmered with energy, a storm of soul skills just waiting for a single command. For a moment, even Yuhao wondered if his instincts had betrayed him. But then it happened. A sudden dizziness hit him midair, and his spiritual detection shattered like glass. An indescribable terror surged through his body, shaking him to his very soul. And in the next heartbeat, the heavens themselves split apart. From the peaks of the Mingdo Mountains, a pale white column of light shot forth. No sound, no thunder, just a beam so pure it looked like it had cut through time itself. Wherever it passed, the very air was obliterated. Xingluo's gathered Soul Masters didn't even have the chance to react. In a single instant, more than 200 Soul Saints, powerful warriors who had trained for decades, were reduced to nothingness. It was as if the battlefield had been wiped clean by an invisible hand. Huo Yuhao was horrified. That crushing premonition now made perfect sense. This wasn't just overwhelming firepower, it was a carefully laid trap. The Sun Moon Empire had deliberately weakened their defenses, drawing the Xingluo Soul Masters closer, only to obliterate them in one merciless strike. And as if that weren't enough, the Sun Moon Soul Guide troops suddenly roared back to life, their firepower exploding with devastating intensity. Artillery rained down like a storm, and the once proud army of Xingluo collapsed in panic. The losses were beyond imagination. Hundreds of Soul Saints gone, warriors who had cost unimaginable time and resources to nurture, wiped out without leaving so much as a scar on the enemy. And then Yuhao remembered the words of his teacher, Xian Ziwen. The Sun Moon Empire harbored a secret. Among their greatest Soul Masters stood two figures who surpassed even the pinnacle of the 9th level. The strongest of them, a Soul Master who had lived for over 180 years, was known as the Death God Douluo, a man so loyal to the imperial family that he devoted 32 years of his life to forging the ultimate weapon. The Death God Soul Guide. This was the Light of Death. Its destructive power stretched across 5 kilometers, reducing everything in its path to nothingness. And Yuhao had just witnessed it firsthand. Even his spiritual sea trembled under its force, nearly shattered if not for the protection of destiny itself. He realized grimly that even a titled Douluo would stand no chance against such a weapon. Whether Super Douluo or even Ultimate Douluo could survive it, that was still a mystery. Fear gnawed at him. The Sun Moon Empire hadn't just hidden their trump card. They'd revealed it at the perfect moment, dealing Xingluo a devastating blow and shifting the tide of battle completely. Worse still, no one knew how many times the Light of Death could be fired, or how long Death God Douluo would remain in the war. The very existence of this weapon was enough to shatter morale. All Yuhao could do was pray. Pray that Death God Douluo hadn't truly broken through to the legendary 10th level realm. Because if the Sun Moon Empire truly possessed such a Soul Master, and with the Holy Spirit Church backing them, then the balance of the entire continent would collapse. The 3 empires of Douluo would be facing an unprecedented crisis. Knowing this, Yuhao couldn't just sit back anymore. He had enjoyed the peaceful moments of teaching his younger brother Dai Luoli, but the fate of the continent outweighed personal wishes. He had to return to Shrek Academy and inform the Sea God Pavilion. Casting one last glance at the Mingdo Mountains, the place where the deadly white light had erupted, Yuhao turned eastward and flew at full speed. Meanwhile, the battlefield had fallen eerily quiet. Though the armies were still assembled, the Xingluo soldiers no longer dared advance. The oppressive aura of the Light of Death crushed their fighting spirit. In the Star Luo command tent, Duke Dai Hao sat with a grim expression, while Princess Jujio looked pale and shaken from the slaughter she had just witnessed. The massacre weighed heavily on her, because the strategy that led to this disaster had been her idea. Unable to bear it, she fell to her knees before the Duke, tears streaming down her face as she admitted her mistake. But Dai Hao, resolute as ever, lifted her up and swore that as long as he lived, he would never allow their homeland to be destroyed by invaders. He then summoned his youngest son, Dai Luoli, and was shocked to find him not only inside the heavily guarded city but also standing at rank 40 soul power. Dai Luoli revealed that he had trained under a mysterious master who had unlocked the hidden potential of his martial soul. He demonstrated his newfound strength with the mutated blood tiger, astonishing both Dai Hao and Dai Yaoheng. Instantly, Dai Hao suspected that this mysterious mentor could be none other than the masked man who had saved him twice before. If that was true, then Luoli's rapid rise made sense, and with it, a glimmer of hope lit up amidst despair. But what the Duke didn't know was that this so-called master was Huo Yuhao himself. Dai Luoli guarded Yuhao's identity carefully, keeping the secret safe even from his father. Far away, Yuhao finally reached Shrek Academy. Rather than barge in, he followed proper etiquette, entering through the gates, crossing the vast empty square, and walking past the statues of the legendary Shrek's 7 devils. His path led him to the shimmering sea god lake. With steady steps across the water, he made his way toward the island at its center, the heart of Shrek Academy itself. At this time, Shrek City was thriving. Thanks to the Spirit Pagoda, the age-old tensions between humans and soul beasts had eased. Students no longer hunted spirit beasts for rings, and through the pagoda's cooperation, countless young soul masters had gained new spirits. And among all those who benefited from this reform, none had gained more than Shrek Academy itself. When Huo Yuhao finally set foot on Sea God Island, the familiar atmosphere washed over him like a warm tide, easing the tension that had been gnawing at him since the battle. This land carried such a strong sense of belonging that his thoughts immediately drifted to the one he had been longing for, Wang Dong'er. But then, just as he was lost in memory, Yuhao froze. Up ahead, walking gracefully along a tree-lined path, was a girl in a flowing white dress. Her long, light blue hair shimmered under the sunlight, and her eyes, they were so achingly familiar. She looked almost exactly like the lover Yuhao had yearned for day and night. Overwhelmed, Yuhao couldn't contain himself. His composure shattered as he flashed forward with his spirit bone ability and pulled the girl tightly into his arms. Tears welled in his eyes, spilling down as he cried out Dong'er's name over and over. All the loneliness, the anxiety, the desperate longing of these past days erupted in this single embrace. But that joy lasted only a heartbeat. With a furious shout, the girl burst free, her power exploding outward in a wave of dazzling light. Her palm strike slammed into Yuhao, forcing him to stumble back more than 10 steps even after retreating with ghost shadow steps. Stunned, Yuhao finally realized something wasn't right. Though her face was nearly identical to Dong'er's, her eyes burned with a strange majesty that Dong'er had never possessed. And then he saw it. 6 black soul rings and 1 crimson red one glowing at her feet, dragon wings of blue and gold spreading wide behind her, and on her forehead, the unmistakable golden trident mark. This wasn't Dong'er. This was Tang Wutong. Before Yuhao could even explain, Wutong's anger flared. Golden light lanced out from her dragon wings, forcing Yuhao into a desperate defense. He couldn't fight her seriously. How could he strike at a face so identical to his beloved? But at the same time, he couldn't afford to let her attacks overwhelm him. Summoning the Snow Maiden, he unleashed extreme ice to stall her advance, and in that moment he felt it. A faint but undeniable trace of Dong'er's aura, hidden deep within Tang Wutong's power. The battle raged fiercely. Her golden flames clashed against his ultimate ice, each strike threatening to tear the ground apart. Yuhao's mind spun with confusion. If Wang Qiu'er, the Emperor Beast, had already sacrificed herself, then who exactly was this girl who carried both Dong'er's presence and Qiu'er's dragon power? Then, suddenly, Tang Wutong vanished, transforming into a massive blue-gold light blade that cut through the very air itself. Yuhao's spiritual interference failed against it, and his ice domain shattered like glass. At the very brink of defeat, Yuhao made a choice. He closed his eyes, steadied his heart, and swung his right fist forward. The diamond-like ice crystals coating it shattered on impact with the light blade. But carried within that strike wasn't just power, it was emotion, longing, tenderness, memories of Dong'er. a fist that spoke of love rather than destruction. The energy surged through Tang Wutong, forcing her to reveal her figure as she staggered back. For just a moment, confusion flashed across her face, and Yuhao whispered hoarsely, "Dong'er, it's you." He was certain now. The golden dragon wings bore the exact patterns of the goddess of light butterfly. There was no mistake. This was Wang Dong'er, somehow reborn, though her memory was sealed. But Tang Wutong quickly recovered, her eyes cold and guarded. With a sharp snort, she flapped her wings and soared toward the sea god lake, leaving behind only one icy warning. "Don't let me see you again." Yuhao stood frozen, watching her vanish into the distance. And despite the sting of her words, a spark of happiness lit his gaze. No matter what name she carried now, no matter the confusion, he knew that he could awaken Dong'er's heart again. It was then that Xian Lao appeared beside him, his expression heavy. He pointed out what Yuhao had only begun to suspect. Tang Wutong possessed not only Wang Dong'er's essence, but also Wang Qiu'er's power. Her martial soul seemed to be a fusion of the goddess of light butterfly and the golden dragon, something only possible through the sacrifice of the emperor beast and the power of destiny itself. Xian Lao revealed that just a week earlier, the girl calling herself Tang Wutong had arrived at Shrek Academy, seeking a position as a teacher. Her appearance had caused an uproar among the academy's elders. After all, she was the very image of Wang Dong'er. But when confronted, Tang Wutong had been firm, coldly denying any connection to her. Even so, Yuhao's heart burned with certainty. He had finally found her again. And just as Yuhao prepared to report the urgent war intelligence he carried from the front lines, Xian Lao's expression turned grave. He gestured silently toward the Sea God Pavilion. The matters of the Sun Moon Empire, the Light of Death, and Tang Wutong's mysterious return would all be decided in the pavilion's halls. And that's how episode 118 of Peerless Tang Sect left us. With the Sun Moon Empire unleashing their ultimate weapon, Shrek Academy preparing for the worst, and Huo Yuhao's long-lost lover returning under a new name, Tang Wutong. The war has changed forever, but so has Yuhao's destiny. Can he protect the continent from the light of death, and at the same time rekindle the heart of the one he loves most? We'll find out soon. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. And of course, let me know in the comments, what was your reaction to Wutong's entrance? Until next time, stay legendary, and I'll catch you in the next episode recap.